Star Wars has always been a very important park of the Disney parks. It was the first non-Disney intellectual property to have a standout attraction in the parks with the opening of Star Tours at Disneyland all the way back in 1987, which proved to be an immense success with visitors. Since then, the park presence of this emblematic franchise has expanded to all the corners of the world, with attractions based on it in Disneyland, Disney World, Disneyland Paris, Tokyo Disneyland, and Hong Kong Disneyland. What you might not know is that long before Galaxy's Edge was being planned, complete Star Wars lands were being proposed for places like Paris, and then later for a park that didn't get off the drawing board, Disneyland Dubai. So come along as we explore the Star Wars Tomorrowlands that never happened.
Oh boy!
Before we begin, if you enjoy my content and this video, make sure to leave a like and consider subscribing as I upload weekly videos on theme parks from the past to the future. If you want to go the extra mile, consider becoming a channel member. You can find me over at Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky, and in our Discord community where I'm most active. Links are in the description. With that, let's dig in. Tomorrowland has always been the most problematic land in the Disney parks, mostly because when you build a land around the future, that future will soon arrive and make the land feel old. This is called the Tomorrowland problem, and it has plagued Disneyland since its inception. While other lands feel timeless even after 60 plus years, such as Main Street USA that has remained pretty much the same after all this time, Tomorrowland has been through various rigorous transformations over the years. One of the biggest transformations of any Disney park land was the new Tomorrowland transformation of 1967 that saw the addition of many new attractions and a complete overlay of the existing structures. Then, the next big change to the land came in 1987 with the creation of the motion simulator ride that took guests to a galaxy far, far away. Star Tours opened to huge fanfare and a 60-hour party where Disneyland remained open for the entire time. Around this time, even if some years later, Imagineering was hard at work drawing up plans for a major new development, Euro Disney. Michael Eisner was now focused on a Disney park in the European continent, and with Star Wars now linked to Tomorrowland, a way to fix the problem of tomorrow always coming was one of the bigger concerns of the Imagineers running the project. One of the proposals was to discard the future theme as a whole and replace it with a completely IP-themed land, the first of its kind. Tim Delaney was a creative director for the Tomorrowland of Euro Disneyland, and he drew this amazing concept art depicting what he thought could work on the European park. In the back, we see Space Mountain, this time themed as one of the most recognizable structures of the Star Wars universe, the Death Star. Behind this new version of Space Mountain was a variation of what's now known as Orbitron, where they would instead board what seems to be speeder bikes, similar to the ones from the 6th chapter, Star Wars Return of the Jedi. The parts closer to us are just as interesting. On the left, we see a structure reminiscent of the very well-known Mos Eisley Cantina from Anakin's home planet of Tatooine. While we don't know for sure what would be found inside, it's likely that it would serve a similar purpose to that of August Cantina in Galaxy's Edge. The similarities to Galaxy's Edge don't stop there, which becomes apparent as we draw our attention to the most famous hunk of junk in the galaxy, the Millennium Falcon. Again, there's no way of knowing what this would include, but it appears to either be a similar ride to that of Smuggler's Run, or a walkthrough attraction where guests would discover and explore the very well-known ship. Of course, this proposal was dismissed, and Discoveryland went ahead alongside its steampunk theming. One thing that's interesting about the concept is how would Space Mountain work? Well, several years later, a patent was filed with a simple rendering depicting a dueling coaster. This was filed before Lucasfilm was bought by the House of Mouse and wasn't created by Imagineering, but that doesn't mean Disney couldn't work something out in the future. Jonathan Gordon, the patent's creator, describes it as a concept that takes an armed conflict from a film or a story and allows writers to live it. Through the use of multiple trains on multiple tracks, giant themed arenas, animatronics, interactive laser gun systems, and much, much more, the Battle of the Death Star from Star Wars roars to life. This is the ultimate in themed rides and roller coasters combined. Being a dueling coaster, you'd obviously have the Rebel X-Wings on one side and the Imperial TIE Fighters on the other, battling throughout the duration of the ride. With this idea, since it's a dueling coaster after all, guests would be able to choose in some point in the queue if they want to become a part of the Empire or the Rebels, which could be a great storytelling device as you explore and queue on either the Death Star or a Rebel fleet ship. One other really cool part of this concept would be the interactivity of the ride vehicles themselves that will be able to shoot lasers. The coaster would also be in a highly themed environment. The idea from the patent creator was the Death Star trenches from the original movie. Now, before we get even more excited over it, this is just a patent and doesn't actually show a cancelled or even proposed ride by Disney. But it still is an amazing way to see different possibilities for a future Star Wars themed coaster. I'll leave a link down below to the US patent if you want to check it out for yourselves. Moving on. Some 15 years ago, Dubai was trying to reinvent themselves, and one of the ways this was to be achieved was through a major and fantastic investment in themed entertainment. Miraz was developing Dubai Parks, a major theme park world to rival in size the biggest players around the globe such as Disney World or Universal Orlando. One of the many proposals was drawn up by Favelli Studio, which depicted nothing less than a full Disney theme park. The Disneyland Dubai proposal included 5 themed lands, and a similar yet very different layout to that of a Disney Castle Park, such as Disneyland or the Magic Kingdom. At the entrance, guests would be welcomed by the train station, where you could board the train which circles the park. Similarly to Shanghai Disneyland, Main Street USA is nowhere to be found. Here, it seems, you'd go directly into a Fantasyland-style village. The castle, a very important part of a Disney castle park, would be a mixture of Paris's and the Magic Kingdoms. But here, you would be able to sleep in it, as it would also act as a high-end hotel. To the right side of the Castle Hotel, we find an Adventureland-style area with the emblematic Jungle Cruise. To the left, there's what seems to be Cars Land, the acclaimed Disney California Adventureland. Because of the very harsh and hot weather of Dubai, a big portion of the park would be indoors, hence the very large covered areas. Inside one of them, to the left of Main Street, would be what appears to be a Pixar-themed land, which can be confirmed by the Pixar lamp and ball. Now, the thing we came all this way to Dubai for, the Star Wars Tomorrowland. Learning from the mistakes of the older version of this land around the globe, this version goes all in with the Star Wars IP. You are welcomed into the land by a huge Orbitron-style attraction with X-Wings flying above you as they go around the Death Star. As you walk deeper into the land, it's possible to recognize that it depicts the planet of Coruscant, with iconic locations such as the Jedi Temple or the Senate Building. Other recognizable elements include the Millennium Falcon and a train station in the middle of the land. Unfortunately, not a lot is known about what type of rides this park would have, but it's obvious that there will be many shops, restaurants, and attractions to explore here. Dubai parks didn't get a Disneyland, and many other theme park developments in the region failed completely, including Dubai Land, which would be home to a Universal Studios theme park. While these attractions, lands, and ideas didn't come to fruition, it's obvious they played an important role in the development of Galaxy's Edge, one of the crown jewels of Walt Disney Imagineering. The future holds a lot of spectacular things, and these ideas might be revisited when drawing up some new and exciting additions, so who knows? Someday we might be able to go on a dogfight aboard an X-Wing in a galaxy far, far away. Which of these cancelled proposals would you like to see become a reality? Let me know down below. And now, as always, thank you for watching, and that's a wrap.